He hunts the biggest of all game, public enemies who try to destroy our America.
Rob Wolchek, daring young reporter,
Matches wits with racketeers and saboteurs, risking his life that criminals and enemy spies will feel the weight of the law by the sting of the
Hall of Shame.
You asked it around, get your finger out of my suit. It's gone.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Come on.
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now, Al?
Hey kids, it's your old pal ML Elric, and 2026 continues our torrid streak. Last week we had Dan Wetzel taking us behind the scenes, debunking the myth of the big blue wall in the media. And this week, I'm especially pleased to be joined by my friend and former Fox 2 colleague, who's soon to be a former Fox 2 employee, Rob Wolchek of the Hall of Shame.
Oh, God, leave that to Rob.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
So I guess I won't be. I guess I won't be taking over.
It's more down low. Hall of Shame, not the Hall.
I was always kind of a mid-nasal, but you're taking it right from the diaphragm.
I definitely have a nasal voice, but yeah, you got to do the Hall of Shame thing. Comes from down low.
Let's
start with that. Where did that come from?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why?
Well, so they wanted me to have some kind of identity and something different, a tagline, and so they had a bunch of corny things they were thinking of.
Of course.
Seriously, this was back when they had all these different departments at Fox 2, and they had this was one of the suggestions. I'm Rob Wolchek, and I will check on it. That was one of the serious things
bad.
And so I was like, yeah, that's lame. So anyways, we were doing the story, and of course the name of the segment was Hall of Shame, and they kept saying, sell it, sell it, sell it. And so finally I just gave them you want me to sell it? Here you go. You're in the Hall of Shame. And they were like, that's it.
Well, and you're an old FM radio DJ, so hamming it up kind of comes naturally.
Yeah, sure. Hamming it up. When I came here, I didn't know anybody in Detroit, so it was really a thing where it's like, I'm going to make a mark, and so I came in without, I feel like people that, if I had been in Los Angeles where I had family and friends, I probably would have been more self-conscious. But here it's like, I don't know anybody here. They want me to sell this Hall of Shame thing, I'll sell it, So I'd be, in the Hall of Shame because I didn't know anybody. And of course, it became a hit.
It kind of worked out. In fact, I still have people come up to me and say, Hall of Shame. Or like, no, that's Rob Wolchek.
Yeah. Well, that's I know Charlie LaDuff has had that. Charlie Langton gets that too. So whatever, it's very memorable. What I find interesting now is that I meet people in their 30s, and they will say to me, "I grew up watching you. My parents used to let me step. They'd see a promo that the Hall of Shame was coming on at 10, 12, which is usually the time that the Hall of Shames come on, and they'd let me stay up to watch the Hall of Shame. And you're looking at them, or I'm looking at them, and I'm thinking, man, this dude's looks like he's 35, and I guess after 28 years, that makes sense. 35, 40-year-old people grew up with me. So it's cool. It's cool. I'm glad I made my mark, and I'm glad people remember me, and I'm glad people like me.
It's got to be the number one news franchise segment in this market, right? I'm trying to think of other ones.
I've lasted a long time. Against all the odds, I've somehow lasted.
Well, the Hall of Shame's so successful, people forget about Fame or Shame.
Yeah, the Fame. Oh. Yeah, I don't really do the Fame or Shames too much anymore, but Fame or Shames, yeah, I actually had 2 franchises. So, but yeah, the Hall of Shame is still big and it's still popular. It's good guy versus bad guy. That's it. It's putting people on the spot. I'm not political at all. In fact, I like to say, the one thing that both Republicans and Democrats can agree on is the Hall of Shame is awesome, and that's
if you do say so yourself.
Well, that's the truth of it. Is that people like it. It's just good guy going after bad guys, victims telling their stories, and then me putting people on the spot, and That's what they like.
Yeah, there's no other side to it.
Yeah, there's no other
Why
side.
did you bust that fraudster?
Yeah, there's no other side to it. We're careful with what stories we do. We just go after bad guys. There's no question they're bad, and that's it,
Well, the success is really, I think, due to the research that you put into it.
Yeah.
Right? Because there's nothing more satisfying as a viewer watching it when that person thinks they got you with an excuse, and you're like, yeah, but look at this paper right here. It says that you had a default judgment or whatever. And that's got to be the most satisfying moment of all those Hall of Shames.
Yeah, I'm prepared. Like I said, we don't go after people until I know for sure they're bad people and that I can get them. So, that's one of the things is sometimes people say things like, do you ever regret putting somebody in the Hall of Shame? And honestly, no, because all of the people that we do, I have a lot of stories where it's like, yeah, I'm just not going to do it. I don't know. This guy is a knucklehead and a moron, but I don't really think he's a scammer, so I'm not going to do the story.
Do you get flooded with tips?
Yeah, we do get flooded with tips.
So is it like 1 out of every 100?
Oh my gosh.
1 out of every 1,000?
Yeah, it's probably more like 1,000. It's you got to have the stars got to be aligned. Got to be able to get the bad people and find them and do all that, and then it's got to live up to the standards that we've set, so to speak. And then, just timing, and you got to have victims that go on camera, and you got to have good victims and good story. It's tough.
Yeah, I think having worked with Rob, what people don't appreciate is all the work that goes into doing one of these stories. Mark mentioned the research. Usually when Rob rolls up on somebody, he's got a public record that shows they're a bad person. He's got a compelling witness who's explained why what they did was not only shitty, but how it really hurt somebody, usually someone who really doesn't have untold fortunes to spend to have something redone or do it again or get it even fixed in some cases. But then if you watch him really closely, Rob usually has like a stack of papers. He's like, well, and then you didn't do this, and then you haven't paid any parking tickets, and it looks like, you cheated at cards. And it's, if Rob got these guys and single thing he finds about them by the time he's done, the show would be an hour long.
Yeah. I like to be prepared, and you've done ambushes before, so you know what it's like. When you're doing that, I always prepare by thinking, if he says this, I'm going to say that. If he says this, I'm going to say that. And I kind of go into all of the different things. If the guy starts crying and saying, oh, poor me, I had this happen and that and that and that, and then I can turn it this way. So I'm pretty prepared. I spend a lot of time thinking about what could possibly happen, because as you know, you never know what's going to happen.
No.
I just did a confrontation yesterday with a lady. Story will air next week with a lady, and you don't know what's going to happen. She's not an intimidating looking character. She's probably like a 37, 38-year-old lady, and she's not mean looking or anything, but you don't know what she's going to do. I don't know if she's going to start screaming. I don't know if she's going to run. I don't know if she's going to hit me. I know she's a lady, but I don't want to get hit by her. I can't really punch her back. I don't. So you just don't know what you're going to do.
Now, you've had your microphone hit a time or two.
Yeah,
I don't think you've ever been hit, although
I've
I
been
remember
pushed around.
Yeah.
I've been pushed around, and I've had people swing at me, and I'm pretty good at ducking the
There's a big
punches.
dude at a Home Depot that's
I've had some people go off, but fortunately I've never been hurt.
But you're never intimidated. That's what makes the pieces good.
Well, I like to say, people ask me all the time, are you scared to go after the bad guy? Generally, by the time I'm ready to confront the bad guy, I am really anxious to talk to them. I want to hear what they're going to say. I've talked to the victims, and then I look at the victims on tape, and I'm preparing to go and do this confrontation, and I feel bad for the victims, and I really want to find out what are you thinking? What are you doing? Why did you take that money? Why did you not complete the job? So I'm not really thinking scared. Obviously, I don't want to get hurt, and I want to be smart about it. but I can't wait to go talk to them. So, it's not really a thing about intimidation. I'm just doing my job and I want to talk to you. Hey, I want to talk to you. And I don't confront people by being real aggressive and, hey, you're a bad guy kind of thing. I say, hey,
tell your story.
I want to talk to you. Listen, this is your opportunity to talk. They say you took the money and so I don't know. It's an art form, I guess.
You mentioned that you caught up with a woman yesterday, having watched the Hall of Fame for many years.
Hall of Shame, not
Hall
fame.
of Shame.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, you'll be in the Hall of Fame next.
Okay.
It seems to me that the majority of the bad guys are guys. How often do you find that there's a woman scammer out there?
Well, generally there are more men. I don't know. There's bad people in every, there's good people and bad people. I like to say when I talk to students at schools and stuff like that, this is what I've come to believe after doing this job for many, many years. I believe that 95% of people, all people in the world, are good people. We're good people. We go to work, we pay our bills, we're generally kind.
Live our lives.
We
raise
live our
families.
lives, we follow the rules. That's 95% of us. Then I'm looking for the 5% that are just
assholes.
Yeah, they don't pay their bills. They cheat people. I can't take anything from somebody and not feel guilty about it. And that's, I believe, what 95% of the people in the world feel. We can't take things without feeling guilty about it. That 5% that can take things without feeling guilty, those are the bad guys that I go after.
Have you ever had any person that you've gone after, maybe a little while after, maybe even years after, become remorseful and say, hey, you set me straight. You're right. I was a fraud. Has that ever happened?
I've had people that have said that, but generally they all go back to their human nature. These are people who are a different kind. They're just a different kind. So many of, you talk about the letters and contacts that I get, tips, so to speak. I would say 50% now, after 28 years, I would say 50% of the tips I get now are on bad guys I've already put in the Hall of Shame.
Wow.
Still doing the same thing, many of them. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't a few of them, because I do believe that people can change their lives around. Certainly, I'm a different man than I was when I was a young man. But those people, I don't hear from them, so I don't know. There are people that I've put in the Hall of Shame that I never hear from them again. So I don't know. Maybe they straightened up their act and they're not scamming people anymore, and maybe I did teach them a lesson.
It's hard to get out of the Hall of Shame.
Well, but, I've had people that have said, hey, I've changed my tune now and I've got my own business and I'm running it this way and this, that. And generally, those people that have contacted me have not really changed their lives because, for the most part, they're bad people. And so they may say they changed their lives, but so I've never done any stories. I did a story years ago on a guy that allegedly changed his life. And this was not my idea. This was management's idea. And it was a long, long time ago. So different managers that work there now. But like maybe 2003, I had done this story on this one guy. And he contacted us and told us how he had gone to prison and he came out and he had changed his life.
God?
And all, yeah, he and all of this. And I did a story, but I was not 100% sold. And sure enough, he ended up screwing up again a year later and ended up going back to prison. So I don't like to do the, sometimes people will say things like, oh, why don't you ever put any business in the Hall of Fame? Or you're always going after bad contractors. And, well, I'm a good contractor and you never do any stories on good contractors. Well, the reason
no one wants to watch those.
Well, it's not even nobody wants to watch those. The reason for that is that that's not news.
Yeah. Right.
Somebody doing their job is not
normal.
News.
It's normal.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
We
people that
don't
show up to work, the judge that shows up to work and does their job every day is not newsworthy. It's the judge that doesn't show up to work and do his or her job. That's a newsworthy thing. Yes, I could do a story on good judges. Judge such and such is always on time and does all this kind of stuff. but it's the ones that don't show up. So that's what news is. That's news. It's unusual and different.
We don't report on the planes that land.
Yeah, so that's why I don't do any Hall of Fame things.
Yeah. You mentioned judges. I think a lot of people think that you mainly do what I would call consumer affairs reporting, trying to help people who got cheated or scammed or whatever. But you've also done some pretty heavy-duty investigations on public officials who've ended up getting in a lot of trouble. Do you enjoy or prefer to do the ones that involve public or elected officials over the contractors? I mean, do you have a favorite type of story?
Well, I do a lot of contractor stories because people like them. It's not any intentional thing, but there are a lot of bad contractors out there. And as a homeowner, I think people can really relate to them. People seem to really love them. I mean, you can, obviously, if you do a story on a judge, which I've done, as a reporter yourself, there's a lot of work to that, and you're messing with somebody who makes a lot of money, has a lot of resources, and can really make your life miserable if you get anything wrong. Not that I intend on ever getting anything wrong or that I ever do get anything wrong, but there's a lot more pressure to that. And you kind of get, for me, it's the same bang for the buck. And honestly, people like the contractor stories. I don't know. I don't really pick them. I do a story. If I have a story about a judge that's bad, I do a story about a judge that's bad. If I have a story about a contractor that's bad, I do a story about a contractor that's bad. If I have a story about a wedding DJ that's bad, I do a story about a wedding DJ that's bad. I mean, it's just, that's one of the reasons I've stayed at Fox 2. It's my choice. I get to pick what stories I do, and I don't, really have a niche.
So how does a wedding DJ go? They play In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida during the dance? They're
supposed to play Truly by Lionel Richie, and they played In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida, and I was like, what? You're in the hall of... No. Actually, I would not put somebody in the Hall of Shame for playing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida over Lionel Richie,
No.
I did a story on a wedding DJ earlier this year who he would book parties and then he wouldn't show.
Yeah. They seem to be like contracted type work.
Yeah, they
just don't do the work.
So you don't like to do wedding stories, period, because there are bridezillas and people tend to be a little fussy and weird over weddings, which is natural. But when you have somebody who keeps booking parties and then they call on the morning of the wedding and say, oh, hey, my car broke down and I'm not going to be able to make it to your wedding. And then the people don't have entertainment. They don't have anybody to announce, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Elric, and all of that. And they scramble. And, and so that's a wedding DJ story that I would do and that I did do earlier. Well, I guess last year. And so that's that. He was just a no-show DJ.
Yeah.
So no-show anything is not good.
Well, it's amazing how many of these stories, if you wanted to do it, you could do a whole franchise on wedding scams. When I was at Channel 4, Ruth to the Rescue, if people remember Ruth Spencer.
I remember Ruth.
The number of tips that she got involving my wedding dress isn't ready, my wedding photos haven't been delivered like they were supposed to. The number of people who are making money off of weddings and leaving people high and dry, which wedding photos, yeah, that's tough, but you figure they got them somewhere. But if the dress isn't ready by the ceremony or you're doing the DJ, somebody's going to, what are you going to put I guess you could do Spotify.
But I think
now,
a lot of that goes to what Rob was saying. There are a lot of bridezillas that are probably
there are
freaking out.
bridezillas.
Like, my dress isn't going to be ready. Why isn't it ready?
Typically, I stay away from bridal wedding type stories because there are people that, you have the people that the cake was the wrong color. It was supposed to have pink icing and instead it was more maroonish. You don't want to do things like that. But when you have somebody who's like a wedding DJ who books a party and then, this guy that I did last year, he had a little scam where he would say, oh, hey, he would take 50% down. So let's say it was $2,000. So he'd take $1,000 down. And then a few weeks before the wedding, he would say, oh, we're running a special. I can give you 20% off. So if you send me $800 down, pay in front, you'll save $200. And by that point, the bride and groom are like, yeah, you know what, that's fine. Let's just get it over with and pay for it up front, this, that. And then he wouldn't show up. So that showed to me that there was a conscious effort to screw the people.
Was he actually a DJ or was he just
He
double
was a DJ.
booking?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was a DJ, and I went off. He was out in Vassar, Michigan, and I went after him, and what I thought turned out to be a good story.
So for me, I always you talk about ambushes. Steve Wilson used to call them unscheduled accountability sessions, and I would refer to them as encounters. And I like to call people before I'm going to catch up with them, and that's a luxury that I always felt that I had as someone who reported on public officials, because I knew where they went to work every day, and I knew where they lived, and if they changed their address, they could be disqualified from holding office. So I always felt like I could find them somewhere if I just took enough time and put enough effort into it. For you, you're dealing with people who are being hunted by everybody, so they're always on the run. How do you find these guys? Because they're kind of masters at not being found.
Yeah, well, that's part of the trick. I mean, we spend a lot of time watching houses and, going to various places and finding these people. Because generally, that's the thing about my stories, is that these are people that have been ripping people off. And so they are hard to find. They're intentionally hard to find. And a lot of times the cops, you can make a police report, but the cops don't have the time to do it. Fortunately for me, Fox 2 has always given me time to do it. I mean, not unlimited time, but reasonable amount of time to find these people, and we're just good at it. We're good at it, and people generally want to help me. I mean, part of my thing is that people like me, I guess. So oftentimes their friends might tip me to where they are. They know I'm looking
The bad
for them.
guys' friends.
The bad guys'
Oh,
friends,
wow.
yeah. So, or family
How do they know
members.
you're looking for them?
Well, sometimes, we knock on a door and there's nobody there, and they say, oh, he didn't live here anymore. I'm his cousin, blah, blah, blah. And then they might tell me. So I don't know. It's hard work. It's stressful. And we find them, though. We're good at it. We once we get our nose on somebody, we're pretty good at finding them.
Well, you're going to hang around for our bonus episode where we'll go deep.
Ooh,
deep
the bonus episode?
Yeah, it was spread out.
Ooh.
Yeah, and we'll go deep into some of your classic ones, because there's so many that, I mean, I remember from 15.
You grew up watching me?
I did grow up watching you, Rob. But retirement, I mean, is that a tough decision?
It's been a very tough decision. Yeah, no, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be 67 in March, and I figured that was time for me to retire. And that's when I'm retiring. I announced it last month, and it's been tough. I really like my job. I really like what I do. I like being the Hall of Shame guy, but I can't do it forever. So it's been tough. I mean, I'm definitely not one of these people who is like saying, oh, I can't wait for retirement and all that. I had 2 weeks off at Christmas time, and I'll be honest with you, by the end of the 2 weeks, I was going crazy.
Stir crazy.
I mean, I just thought, gosh, am I making the right move here? I'm so bored. And, it's like when you work full time, it's like, oh, gosh, I want to watch Netflix. I got all these shows I want to watch and all this. And then to actually have the time to watch them, and, you get done and it's like, I'm done. Well, okay, well, I watched the series and that was fine and all that, but I don't feel like sitting around watching TV.
Can you meddle around with Scott and in his shots and his stories? And
well, no, he does his own thing, I don't tell him what to do.
Yet.
No, he's
and that's Scott Wolchek,
Yeah.
Rob's son, who works at Fox.
Yeah, no, Scotty's a really good reporter, and he's got a great career, and I don't have anything to do with what he does or anything like that. I mean, we talk shop once in a while. When I see him, he comes over on the weekends and drops off his little son so that me and Grandma can watch him. But I mean, I'm a big fan of my son. He's doing a great job. He's a very talented kid, and but I don't have anything to do with his career.
Well, but when he was offered a job at Fox 2, I mean, was there any trepidation because you worked there? Like, I don't know if I want to do this.
All right, so here's the thing with that. Okay, so he was a reporter in Lansing, and he was a reporter in Lansing, and then he was at WNEM up in Saginaw, Flint, and then he took a job in PR. His wife worked at WXYZ as a producer.
Oh, okay.
And so Scotty took a job in PR at a place in Detroit, and he really liked it. I was kind of bummed because I thought he was a really good reporter, and he took a job at PR, and then they were advertising an opening for a reporter at Fox 2, and Scotty told me he was going to apply for it, and that's all I heard. No one at Fox 2 ever said, hey, your son was here and applied for the job or anything like that. And then Scotty never said anything to me. They never said anything to me. And a couple of months later, I got a call from Scotty, and he said, I got the job. And I said, what job? Seriously. Yeah. I said, what job? And he said, the job at Fox 2. And so I was like, no kidding, as a reporter. And so he got the job as a reporter. And then, because no one had ever said anything to me, they never came in and said anything like, do you think your son would be a good fit here or anything like that? They never said anything to me. Then, because they didn't say anything to me, nobody said, hey, by the way, we hired your kid. I didn't say anything to anybody. And finally, like after about 2 weeks, someone in management said, hey, are you ever going to mention that we hired your kid? I'm like, well, no, because nobody said anything to me. And I thought, well,
that was your decision.
So, I had nothing to do with it. I mean, obviously they knew who he was and all of that, but, I didn't have anything to do with it, and that was fine. So he got the job on his own, and they hired him on his own. So that's, and he's a very talented kid. Mm-hmm. I mean, if there was anybody that was going to take over the Hall of Shame, it would be him. He's really the only person that could do it, but I don't think that he wants to do it, and I don't think they want him to do it. I have no idea. I don't know. I do my job and show up, and that's it.
Well, Scott's a lot like Glenda Lewis, where he has a legacy that he can point to proudly, but also came up the hard way. I mean, Glenda came from Alpena to, I think, Flint before she came to Channel 7. And Scott, Lansing, Saginaw. I mean, this is not a Nepo baby. These are stops where you can really cut your teeth and get your experience, but you ain't getting rich, and it takes a while to get to the big markets like Detroit. But
you got to hold your own once you get there. I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, it's as I've told my kids, Dad's name can open doors for you, but you got to get the job on your own. I mean, that's, people might be, oh, well, it's Rob Wolchek's kid, can open the door, but
I wouldn't use you ever as a reference either. I can just say, Scott, what about your son? Well, I can tell you he doesn't clean his room. I can tell you he doesn't pick up his dog's crap in the yard. What else you want to know? I said, Dad, stop. We're good.
Yeah. No. Fortunately, they never asked me, so I never had to say that he was a slob or anything like that. And he really wasn't a slob. He was a good kid. I mean, he's a great reporter. I mean, he's the future of that place. I mean, he's really good. He's a very talented kid. When my kid, I'm not one of those dads that went around thinking my kid was the best. I mean, believe me, I've seen the kid play in Little League Baseball, and I was one of those dads going, "Oh my God, swing! What are you doing?" So I was never one of those dads that thought my kids were great. But Scotty was a kid where, when he was in high school, I remember him practicing a speech he was giving down in the basement, and I heard him practicing, and he was, maybe 14, 15, and I remember thinking, man, that's pretty good. Yeah. I mean, did he write that? Because that's really good. And then I was thinking, am I just his dad saying that's good, or is he really good? And he's just good. He's a talented kid, I mean, really all I have going for me, all us Wolcheks have going for us is talent. I mean, we're talented. I mean, that's
that's if you're gonna fall back on something. That's
I'm fortunate to say, and I'm not bragging. That's really all I got. I have a certain amount of talent. And I work hard.
And you made stops, obviously, before you got here.
Oh, yeah.
New Mexico, California.
Fresno.
But it was interesting.
Yeah.
I was
Powerhouse news market of Fresno, California.
When reading the story about your retirement, there was a quote in there where you're like, I never thought I was going to stay in Detroit. I mean, did you want, was there a goal? Was there to be?
Well, I'd always dreamed of being on TV in L.A. That was where my home was. Yeah. So, my mom was still alive when I got the job here in Detroit. My dad had passed away when I was in Fresno, but my mom was still alive, and my sister and my brother, and I had, of course, tons of friends. L.A. was always my destination.
Okay.
And so coming here was definitely not, I mean, it wasn't even on the radar. It was just a thing where, I worked with Lucy and Lucy Nolan in Fresno, and then Lucy got the job out here at Fox 2, and she recommended, you got to have this Rob Wolchek guy, and he's the greatest. And I got a call kind of out of the blue from Neil Goldstein and I honestly, I mean, the thing was Neil called at 6:00 in the morning. I'm living in Fresno, and called at 6:00 in the morning because it's Pacific time, so it was 9:00 Eastern time, but it's 6:00 for me. And my wife says, "There's a guy on the phone from Detroit." I'm like, oh.
Yeah, it's like, I must not have paid back some loans.
And so then, I knew that Lucy said, I'm going to, whatever, I'm going to tell him how great you are. And then she had made a tape for him. And then I got on the phone with Neil Goldstein, and I said to my wife, what time is it? And she said 6:05. And I was like, and I was really rude to him. And I said, yeah, dude, call back at a decent hour. It's 6:00 in the morning. I know you're in, Eastern time, but it's 6:00 in the morning here. I work till 11:00 at night. And so then I hung up. I was really rude.
Shit.
And then my wife kind of sat up in bed and was staring at me while I was trying to go back to sleep. And she said, isn't Detroit a top 10 market? Because we were a top 10 market at that time. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, well, you were kind of rude to that guy. Don't you think you should call him back? And I'm like, I don't want to work for the guy. He's already waking me up. And then, so I called them back, and things, and then I came out here, and that's history.
What did you know about Detroit, or what was your image of Detroit? Because this would have been mid-90s? Late
97.
97.
It was 97. My image was the image that most people have of Detroit. It's a big city that had seen better days, I suppose, and was rough. The image that America has. It's not the gleaming jewel city of San Francisco or anything like that. It's got a reputation. That was my, and then I came here, and it kind of lived up to its, it's a different place, but then I grew to love it, and really people grasped onto me, and I grasped onto the city, and, that's it. I mean, it's a lovable place.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to go to Detroit. You guys grew up here, so, this was your home. So being on the radio or on TV or in the newspaper here, is a big deal. For me, it was, well, it's just going to be a stop on my way to LA. And I guess I'll go there. It is a top 10 market, and I'm going to make more money. And I got this crazy Hall of Shame thing, and they want me to be wild and crazy. And so, that's what happened. But then I don't know. Everybody seemed to love me, and I seemed to love it here. So I just stayed.
Well, that's the beauty of Fox 2, or at least it has been, is they will let you go as far as your talent will take you. Rob's on the clock now. He'll be wrapping up in March, is it?
Yeah, March,
in March. So please keep watching Fox 2. If you can't get your Wolchek fix, there's, of course, Scott Wolchek there, who almost was not the first Scott Wolchek hired, but maybe we'll get into that in our bonus episode, which we're going to record with Rob shortly. If you're one of our Patreon subscribers, one of our soulmates, you'll get access to that. You can hear some great stories from Rob. And if you have...
So they got to pay to listen to me?
No, for the bonus episode.
For the bonus episode?
This is a premium service of the Soul of Detroit. So, and maybe the first unofficial, the soft launch of the Rob Wolchek podcast. We'll have to see.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. You never know.
After you watch all those Netflix shows, you'll be like, hey, what are you guys doing more podcasts?
Well, sometimes I look at the quality of some of the things, and I think to myself, I don't know if I could do better than that, but I think I probably could.
Yeah, well, I no doubt about it. So we're gonna cut that in just a minute, but want to thank Rob for coming in. Watch him at Fox 2. If you have a great tip, you better get it in fast because he is on the clock. And this episode is brought to you by Luke Nowacki and by you, our Patreon subscribers. If you want to become a Patreon subscriber, it's really easy. Just hit the link on our website. For as little as $5 a month, you can watch the show. You can get these bonus episodes. You'll get the show without any of the annoying insertion ads. And if you just can't make that commitment, you can buy our bonus episodes a la carte, one at a time. So there's opportunities to see this, whether or not you're willing to support us every week, or you're one of those chiselers who wants to just come in and just skim the cream off the top.
I'm one of the guys who just wants to skim the cream, man. I watch your podcasts and stuff like that, but I don't pay for it.
Yeah,
we may be putting you in a hall of our own here.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I encourage anyone who wants to pay for it and get that extra bonus stuff, but I don't.
Well,
can you pass a deal on to me?
That's as close as
help a brother out, man.
Yeah, we can get. If you put $500 down, we can get you a deal on the DJing for your retirement party.
Exactly.
Work something out.
You gotta come to my retirement party, and so do you, Mark. You guys got to come. It's going to be a big bash. From what I'm hearing, it's going to be the event of. So I'm not much of a partier myself, but if the party's about me, I'm all for it.
Yeah, as long as the guest of honor is worthy, Rob.
As long as I'm the guest of honor, I'm there.
There you go. It's like a funeral. You got no choice. You got to be there. But that's a long ways off. So, Rob, thanks for coming in. We'll be right back after this shameless promotion from one of our sponsors. If you can't decide if a vocalist is a member of a group or not, or you believe that your glove box is the correct storage place for your birth certificate, should you really be trusted with something complex like preparing your investments to provide for you for the rest of your life? When you sober up long enough for your phone to recognize your face and unlock, call or text Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748. That's 248-663-4748. Because Luke did the math, and Led Zeppelin is clearly a 4-piece, and Green Day is a 3-piece. And if you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Mosaic Wealth. Inc. member FINRA-SIPC. Mosaic Wealth. Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent. Mosaic Wealth. Inc.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
This week's geek comes from one of the most trusted news sources in America, for better or for worse, TMZ.
Yeah, love me some TMZ.
Oh yeah, well, that was when I was at Channel 4 doing our retrospective on TV stations, and it was great to have Rob here. He was a great guy, and I'll tell you, as I've said, when I first went to work at Fox, I did not like Rob because he seemed so obnoxious. When you work with him, he's not only the most gracious partner you could have or colleague you could have, but he's like totally committed to the news. He's really a hardcore investigative journalist, and he just, as he'll tell you himself, he's very talented, but he kind of grows on you like a fungus. But he's great. Anyway, so when I was at Channel 4, TMZ was just coming out. Hank Winchester to watch it all the time, religiously.
Yeah.
And since then, they've become kind of a big deal. Well, they tell a story about a Pennsylvania man who allegedly stole more than 100 skeletal remains from grave sites, and who wasn't exactly a criminal mastermind, at least according to prosecutors. Jonathan Gerlach went about sloppily turning his Pennsylvania home into a haunted house. That's kind of weird to begin with, but prosecutors say he left behind tons of evidence. They found cigarettes, Monster Energy, Liquid Death, of course, and NOS, I don't even know what that is, energy cans in the crypts he allegedly burglarized, and he used his Ace Hardware rewards card to pay for some of the tools he used to break into the graves.
Got to get your points.
Well, it all comes back to you. The more you spend, the more you save. Cops say they searched Gerlach's home in Ephrata?
Yeah.
Frata?
You're close enough.
Farta?
I don't know.
And discovered 100 sets of full or partial human remains in his basement. Prosecutors say his family saw a partially decomposed corpse hanging in his basement. That's kind of a dead giveaway.
Yeah, literally.
But they were afraid to tell police, and who can blame them? I mean, it's like
just tell on him.
Unky John's got some.
It's like a modern day Ed Gein.
Oh God! So he admitted to selling some of the remains he stole, according to authorities, and he targeted 4 underground vaults at one cemetery, Mount Moriah, gaining entry by moving huge slabs made of heavy stone and marble. But once he was in there, once he had breached the
Clean up after yourself,
the perimeter,
you slob.
He left cigarettes and energy drinks next to a plastic tarp containing human remains that was discovered just outside of a mausoleum.
Must be hard work. Need a lot of energy drinks.
He left cigarette butts, liquid death, and NOS energy drinks. So much for covering up for those tracks. In November, cops were called to a cemetery where a mausoleum had been robbed. The marble flowing inside was destroyed, and inside they found a white nylon rope with a carabiner still attached, positioned as if the robber rappelled 10 feet down into the crypt. Jeez, oh, Pete's.
Yeah, well, I can't believe you can get that much money off of it.
Well, I mean, Teresa did a story on someone who was selling
body
Yeah,
parts,
I mean, that's very lucrative. Anyway, Delaware County District Attorney Tanner Rouse slapped Gerlach with a slew of charges, including criminal mischief, criminal trespass, intentional desecration of a public monument, and abuse of a corpse. And while it's not in the statutes yet, we've already found him guilty of being our Geek of the Week.
There's an all-night party in room 7609. And you can dance together all night if you've got the time.
Well, this is Scott Roberts coming to you on Hot 96. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about, check out our bonus episode where we find out the origin story of Rob Wolchek, also known as Scott Wolchek, also known as Scott Roberts. I don't want to tell you anymore because the bonus episode is definitely worth a listen, and that's exclusive to our Patreon subscribers and those of you who are willing to pay for individual bonus episodes. It's going to post later. Please check it out. That's our January offering to those of you who are generous enough to support us month after month as our soulmates. This is a song.
I got a sneak preview of the bonus episode. It's very, very good.
Oh, and there's great stuff.
No, I'm being very serious. I thought Rob was really good in the bonus episode, talking about all his old episodes. So worth the purchase.
Oh, he's always good. He's a great guy, great storyteller, great stories. And I think after he retires, you may get some of the behind the scenes stories. Anyways, this is a fan tune called Hall of Shame Hero that was sent to Rob by someone who really likes his work. They've given us permission to play it. We hope you love it.
In Detroit under bright TV lights, there's a man who fights the good fight. Rob Wolchek's his name, truth's his game. Chasing down the crooks and the liars' flames. Started out spinning country tunes, a radio DJ in New Mexico afternoons. But he traded the mic for the camera's eye, exposing scams that made the city cry. He's the Hall of Shame hero, shining through the night, catching the cheats, bringing wrongs to light. With a keen eye and a heart that's true, Rob Wolchek's doing what honest folks do. On the line to scams that steal your hard-earned dime. He digs deep, uncovers the truth. No matter the cost, that's the Rob Wolchek proof. 25 Emmys on his wall, but it's the people who matter most of all. Catching the cheats, bringing wrong stands tall and proud. A voice for the people shouting clear and loud. No scam too big, no lie too small. Rob's on the case, answering the call. He's the Hall of Shame hero, shining through the night, catching the cheats, bringing wrongs to light. With a keen eye and a heart that's true, Rob Wolchek's doing what honest folks do. So here's to the man with the watchful gaze, bringing justice to light, setting fire to the haze. Rob Wolchek, American through and through. We're lucky to have a truth teller like you.
So that's Bobby Standel with Hall of Shame hero. Rob shared this with me because I said, hey, Rob, as a DJ, I thought he's going to have some great suggestions for a song. And of course,
he chose one about himself.
He was a DJ in the 80s, which is, as you know, the high point of new wave. But he picked.
Well, he was a country DJ first.
That's right. That's right.
How
New
he
Mexico.
Started in country music. Yeah.
That's right. Mm-hmm. So I said, well, Rob, tell me about this. He says, it's actually a damn good song. Guy sent it to me, is in Mississippi, but watches all my stories on YouTube. And I said, yeah, it's kind of country. It's country because the middle America folks relate to me, not like you big city slicker newspaper reporters. So we'll give Rob the last word on that. But check out Rob. He'll be on the air through March. I'm sure he's got some big stories he's going to go out on. And Mark had suggested, hey, how about a greatest hits? I think that'd be fantastic.
That'd be smart to do.
Hopefully from our lips to Fox 2's ears. I did not get the big send-off, but that was another story.
You didn't even get your final story.
No.
Poor guy.
It's kind of fun. Anyways, it's not about me. It's about Rob. It's about Rob. But we want your stories and we want your songs. Please send them to mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. We'd love to share what you're thinking, what you're listening to. We do it every week here in room 7609. Please take this over, because if not, I'm going to play something that's all synth. And then,
oh, God, no. Please somebody send them in.
Sean will be very, very unhappy. We want to thank our donors this week. We do have some new soulmates who are helping to support the show. David Harns signed up, which means he's going to get the show before everybody else. He's going to be able to watch it.
Why do I know that name? Do I know that name? That name sounds very
Spartans
familiar.
Illustrated. We
there
talked
you go.
a little bit last week about how Spartans Illustrated is one of the news sources that covers things on a granular level and often has the news before anybody else. And if they don't quite have it nailed down, they're pretty responsible about saying, this is what we think we know and why we know it. We were talking about that because we had Dan Wetzel on talking about why it took so long to break the Sharon Moore story. Mm-hmm. Because quite simply, folks, when you got big news like that, you got to have it locked down a whole bunch of ways. And once it was ready to roll, it rolled. But
you can talk to Harns about the Nick Marsh story. I'm surprised I haven't heard more of that.
Well, I was thinking I might like to have Dave on to talk about how this new NIL is working and the portal.
It's great.
And all this other stuff. Like, has anybody ever been declared academically ineligible? Does that not matter anymore? How many of these?
That's funny you said, because that's one of the things Wetzel says. He said, ever since online classes, nobody's been academically ineligible. However, it's really because I'm one of those nerds that will follow the portal.
Yeah.
A player from Cal, Michigan can't take junior transfers, apparently. It's hard for their credits to transfer. But a junior from Cal, allegedly, there is some issue with his credits transferring to Michigan, so he might go to BYU instead.
So,
which is, come on.
I mean, it's okay. So
coming here to play football, he's not coming here to play class like Cardale Jones said once. Yeah.
Well, somebody coming from Bemidji State, no offense to Bemidji State, might have trouble getting admitted to the University of Michigan. But Cal, Berkeley, it's basically one of the not Ivy League schools like a Stanford.
I think it's a better school. I'll say it.
Yeah.
Come on.
We should ask LaDuff. He's got degrees from both of them.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of school, that's like a peer institution. If you got a D or an A in art history or critical thinking, it should probably transfer.
I think it depends on what the classes were, and maybe they weren't offered here. I don't know. Who knows?
Well, the other thing is, how many times have these guys taken English 101? I mean, if you're a sixth-year senior, you should at least have a master's degree.
But my first thought was, I guess school does still matter? The college part of college football matters? That's interesting.
Maybe only at Michigan, where they still are the leaders and the best, and it's all about standards.
Yep. Absolutely. Spartans will.
Made without further comment. So we want to thank David and Describe. Describe also jumped up and is supporting us. So thank you very much. And if you have something to say to us, you can always reach us at ML.
Say it to our face.
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes they won't. I get a note here from Monica who says, Professor Elric, would love to hear your thoughts on that super cringy, attention-seeking Jacksonville Jaguars beat reporter, Detroit native Lynn Jones, kissed the ass of the $12 million a year head coach after his team's loss. Maybe even worse were the performative virtue signaling white guy dorks making it go viral with totally over-the-top fake praise, such as Adam Schechter. Sir, what has become of your profession? Have phones, water carriers, and sycophants usurped every newsroom? Don't even get me started with CBS quote-unquote news ... Mark, have you heard this
Yeah,
audio?
I saw the clip. It was.
What did you think?
I thought it was weird. I think it's really weird to comfort a coach like that. I mean,
yeah,
it's. But then again, I think this is why press conferences shouldn't be recorded almost, because I don't know. I don't understand the point of most sports press conferences. Nothing really ever gets said, and the only way they ever make news is when something stupid happens like this.
Well, I told you my favorite Izzo press conference is the one where Sean said something and Izzo cracked back and said, it sounds like somebody's coached high school basketball. When someone's like, you ran the 3-4, didn't you do the 2-1 or whatever? And then they're kind of fun. Or when the coach says, I'm a man, I'm 40, come at me. I heard it, and I would say I would never ask a question like that. I found it to be a little embarrassing. But I also don't think it's the most important thing in the world when we have police shooting protesters and protesters harassing police and 1,000 more cops being sent someplace where maybe we should try and dial it back a little bit. So
no, but sports is supposed to be the escape. You want me to play it? I'll just play the clip real quick. It's a real short clip. Yeah. Let's see here. There he is.
Here's the coach.
This is after their playoff loss.
I want to tell you, congratulations on your success, young man.
Thank
you. Hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season.
Thank you.
And you did a great job out there today.
Appreciate
so you just hold your head up, okay?
Thank
and
you,
ladies
ma'am.
and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all
Thank
right?
you, ma'am.
keep it going. We got another season, okay?
I appreciate
Take
it.
care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Thank you, ma'am.
So,
I mean, there's not even a question there, right?
The coach seems pretty uncomfortable, doesn't he? He's like, how long is this going on?
It's not his fault, but it's
very
why? That's not a question. Why are you just cheerleading him?
If you're wondering how unusual it is, I think the coach's reaction tells you right there. He's like, I've never been through anything like this. How long is this going to go on? By the way, who's Duval? I never understood that. Duval, you got this. I'm like, is that a city or a town or where he's from?
I don't know.
That was weird, but I guess I would say, as Mark kind of suggested, these press conferences are kind of fraudulent anyway, but the fact that somebody went and made a statement, I definitely cringed, but it ain't the most important thing in the world. And I wouldn't, if one of my students was going to go in and do something like that, I'd be like, please don't. But, has it affected the CPI or our ability to bring about justice in Iran? No.
But I mean, it's still. I mean, you can care about that stuff and this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Here's the other thing: the guy gets paid $12 million a year to be the head coach of an NFL team. Does he need much cheerleading? I mean, that's part of the exchange of being paid a lot of money like that. Is you're going to get overly criticized, and probably rightfully so. You lose a game, but and she wasn't wrong. They did have a hell of a year. They surprised everybody, but at the same time, he doesn't need his ass kissed.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, Doesn't seem like much of a harm. Doesn't seem like much of a foul. But I sure wouldn't want to see that.
Makes
again.
her look silly. That's it.
Well, maybe she's just an incredibly gracious person. But yeah,
Sure.
not what you're taught in Journ 407 at Michigan State. I'll tell you that. But we love it when we get your feedback. Please keep it coming. You can reach us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. Our bonus episode will post later this month. Please check it out. In the meantime, consider becoming a soulmate to keep us coming back week after week. And if you want to plan for the financial future, as Rob Wolchek has done, he can retire because he's planned carefully. If you need some help with that, consider calling Luke Nowacki and Zach at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. And until next week, we turn to our friend Cyrus to take us out.
Can you dig that? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Be sure to listen to the
Soul of Detroit
next week at this same time. These copyrighted dramas originate in the studios of
Red Shovel Network,
Detroit. All characters, names, places, and incidents are fictitious. This is the
Soul of Detroit.